Let's continue with this now. Former umpire Rudi Koertzen only umpired his first test at the age of 43 in Gqeberha. That was when South Africa were readmitted to international sport. His massive contribution over 18 years of international umpiring is being remembered following his sudden passing yesterday due to a car accident. Colleague and former umpire himself, Lambson, joins us now on the line. A very good evening. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. I understand you actually stood with him in that first test in the 92-93 season.
No, I didn't stand with that test. I stood in the test at the Wanderers, so it's really interesting. When we came back into international cricket, I don't know whether it was overseas or locally, they decided that we weren't good enough for just to have two South African umpires. So we had the umpires. So we had an umpire from overseas. So the first two tests, that was Steve Bucknor, and I was involved with Cyril Mitchley and Steve Bucknor at the Wanderers, where the overseas umpire stood for 4 of the 5 days, and the South African umpires did 3 of the 5 days. So they stood with a different person every day. And Rudi was in Gqeberha, or PE in those days, and he stood with Will Friedrichs, who passed on a few years ago, and David Shepherd. So that was his first test.
Barry, how much of a loss is this to South African cricket? Obviously, he was retired at the time, but he made a massive contribution and continued to make a massive contribution to cricket in his community.
Yes, so it was interesting when he retired, so he did really well. So I was umpiring with him in about the 1988, and then it continued, and then I think our first World Cup was in 92. Carl Liebenberg went there to umpire, but he was part of that group with me and Cyril Mitchley and Will Friedrichs, and then Cyril did 96, and then after that Rudi came fourth as a top umpire in the elite panel, and then he retired. He was a umpire's coach for a year for ICC. He didn't do much in terms of national umpiring coaching after that, and I think still he was involved in his community, which is really good because he had so much experience, and you can't buy experience. And someone like that who's done so many test matches, you can't just get rid of like that. And I'm sure in his local community did really well.
Did you ever ask him about his slow raising of his finger to indicate that a batter was out?
It was interesting when he umpired, or when I umpired, I was very quick. They used to call me Trigger because I used to give a person out before they can even blink, and he was the opposite way around. So he was slow death. His finger used to come up very slowly. So we were directly opposite in terms of giving batsmen out, which is quite funny.
Did you ever ask him about it?
No, he just said that was his way of doing it, and I think every umpire's got their own way of doing things, and that was the way he did it. And people, if you gave them out quickly, people would think something's wrong. If I gave people out someone slowly, they would think something was wrong with my decision. So that was just the way it was.
How will you remember him?
So I remember as someone who used to laugh a lot. He was really good to be with on the field. He was a good partner on the field. We had great fun off the field. I was just remembering about times where we did things together if we had different areas. He was quite a serious person on the field. On the field, he's a lot more serious. He came through as that sort of person, a lot more serious on the field. But off the field was a wonderful person and got on really well with him. So, as I said, when we came back into international cricket in 92, he was part of the group I was part of. So he had been umpiring before that, but that's when his umpiring started improving and getting to that higher level after 92.
Yeah. And 331 internationals thereafter till his retirement in 2010. Thanks so much, Lambson, for chatting to us about some of your memories with Rudi Koertzen, who passed away suddenly yesterday.